With the 2018-19 Premier League season over, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it has been one of the best seasons in Premier League history, with the two top teams finishing with a combined 195 points, 14 points more than the previous record. A record 1,072 goals scored in the season, including the fastest in Premier League history, with 3 players sharing the Golden Boot, and the lead at the top of the table switched 32 times throughout the season, another new record. It was Manchester City who won the title though for the 4th time, and for a 2nd season in a row for the first time in their history, which was also the first time any team had retained the Premier League title since Manchester United in 2009. On the other hand, Liverpool missed out on their first Premier League title by just a single point, with their tally of 96 points, a record amount for a team finishing 2nd place in any season in English football, which would have won them the title in all but 2 seasons as well. So how was the Premier League won and lost? In this 2-part special, I will go over a variety of games throughout the season which helped to decide the destination of the trophy, from top of the table clashes, to top versus bottom matches, to derby matches, and more. I won't be going over the relegation battle in these 2 videos, unfortunately, but teams from all parts of the league played their part, as you will find out. In this first part, I will focus on the matches that took place from August to December 2018, with the games from January to May 2019 featuring in part 2. I will leave a link in the description to part 2 so you can watch that once it's uploaded, or you can click the I button in the top right hand corner or the card at the end of the video. With that being said, let's get into part 1 of the games that defined the 2018-19 Premier League season. Going into the start of the season, Manchester City were the favourites to retain the title they had won the previous season, when they were the first team in Premier League history to reach 100 points in a season. Riyad Mahrez was their only major signing, costing 60 million from Leicester. Despite finishing 4th the season before and 25 points behind Man City, Liverpool were seen by most bookmakers as the team most likely to challenge for the title. This was due to the fact that they had reached the Champions League final the season before. They had one of the best centre-backs and best forwards in the world in the form of Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah, and they had spent over 160 million in the summer on a new keeper in Alisson from Roma, central midfielders Naby Keita and Fabinho, and winger Xherdan Shaqiri, with Alisson seen as the biggest signing, seeing as Liverpool had lacked a world-class goalkeeper for a few seasons, as shown by Loris Karius' 2 mistakes in the Champions League final. Manchester United were then seen as 3rd favourites, despite finishing 2nd the year before, although they failed to sign a centre-back, which was manager Jose Mourinho's priority, with fullback Diogo Dalot and midfielder Fred their major signings. Chelsea and Spurs were then close behind Man United, with some bookies giving them the same odds to win the league. Chelsea were under new boss Maurizio Sarri, who signed Jorginho from his old club Napoli to help him develop his Sarri ball philosophy, and goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga for a world record £72 million from Athletic Bilbao, with Thibaut Courtois getting his move to Real Madrid not long after. Spurs, on the other hand, made no signings over the summer and would go on to make 0 signings during the season, although they did have a new stadium that was planned to open in September 2018, but that would be delayed until almost the end of the season. To finish off the top 6, Arsenal were the 6th favourites, going into their first season since 1996 without Arsene Wenger as manager, with former Sevilla and PSG manager Unai Emery taking the job. Goalkeeper Bernd Leno, centre-back Socrates, and midfielders Lucas Torreira and Matteo Guendouzi were their main signings. Outside the top 6, Everton, Leicester and newly promoted Wolves were the favourites to challenge for best of the rest, with all of them having odds of 250 to 1 to win the league. Finally, before we get into the games, I'll be using something called the Euro Club Index to show you the percentage chance of different teams winning the league at different stages of the season. The Euro Club Index is a ranking system used for teams in the highest division of all European countries, which shows their relative playing strengths at a given point in time and the development of playing strengths over time, which makes it possible to calculate the probabilities of different match results for matches in the near future. For example, for the Man United v Cardiff game on the 12th of May 2019, Man United were given an 83% chance of winning, Cardiff a 4.4% chance of winning, with a draw having a 12.6% chance of happening. Cardiff went on to win the game 2-0. In terms of the league, the odds for the champion of the league are calculated after each set of fixtures based on the actual standings and the match result probabilities for all remaining matches, with each team's expected number of points at the end of the competition calculated, including a margin of error. I will leave a link in the description to the website if you want to find out more about how it is calculated in more detail. Before a ball was kicked, Manchester City had the best odds, unsurprisingly, with a 33.3% chance of winning the league. Spurs were actually given the second best chance at 14.9%, with Manchester United not far behind at 14.4%. Liverpool had the fourth best chance at 13.7%, with Chelsea fifth with 12.6% and Arsenal sixth on 6%. Leicester were given the best percentage chance out of the rest with 1.1%, with Huddersfield's the lowest at less than 0.1%. Game 1, Match Week 1, Sunday the 12th of August 2018, Arsenal 0, Manchester City 2. The 2018-19 Premier League season started on Friday the 10th of August with Manchester United beating Leicester 2-1 with goals from Paul Pogba and Luke Shaw. Spurs, Chelsea and Liverpool all got off to a winning start as well, but the big game of the first weekend was at the Emirates Stadium as Manchester City, who beat Chelsea 2-0 the previous Sunday in the Community Shield, travelled to face Arsenal in their first Premier League match without Arsene Wenger in charge since September 1996, but it was Man City who would be the happier team come the full-time whistle. Raheem Sterling opened the scoring in the first half in the 14th minute with a curling shot from outside the box after cutting inside and running past two Arsenal defenders on the way. Bernardo Silva scored City's second in the 64th minute after a cutback from City left-back Benjamin Mendy for his second assist of the game, and that would be enough, although they could have and maybe should have scored more. An early test for City had been passed though, in a game which was the trickiest opening game for any of the main title contenders. The win helped Manchester City's odds of winning the league increase to 38.4%, despite Liverpool winning 4-0 at home to West Ham and being top of the league on goal difference. Their chances had actually decreased from 13.7% to 12.7%, putting them below Chelsea as well, although this would be the lowest percentage they would have for the rest of the season before any match week. Game 2, Match Week 2, Sunday the 19th of August 2018, Brighton 3, Manchester United 2. The first big shock of the season came at the Amex Stadium where Man United lost their first game of the season after just 2 games against Brighton, who also beat United 1-0 at home at the end of the 2017-18 season to retain their place in the Premier League. In a weekend where Chelsea, Tottenham, Man City and Liverpool all won, with City beating Huddersfield 6-1 and Chelsea beating Arsenal 3-2 standout results, it was United who slipped up badly in a game you would expect them to win. 4 goals were scored in the first half, but unfortunately for United, Brighton scored 3 of them, with 2 of the goals happening just a couple of minutes apart for Glenn Murray and Shane Duffy. Romelu Lukaku managed to head one back just a few minutes later, but near the end of the half, Eric Bailly made a silly tackle and gave away a penalty, with Pascal Gross converting it to make it 3-1. United brought on Lingard, Rashford and Pogba in the second half, but only one of them found the back of the net, with Paul Pogba's 95th minute penalty a consolation in the end. This dropped United's chances of winning the league from 13.4% to 7.9%, compared to 39.1% for Man City, with Tottenham still having the second best chance with 17.8%. Game 3, Match Week 3, Saturday the 25th of August 2018. Wolves 1, Manchester City 1. Despite this being their first season back in the Premier League since 2012, when Man City won their first title, most people were expecting Wolves to do well and possibly challenge teams like Everton and Leicester to be the best of the rest, due to how well they did winning the Championship the year before, and the quality of the players they already had and managed to sign, thanks to their Chinese owners Fosun International and their links to football super agent Jorge Mendes, Diogo Jota, Ruben Neves, Willy Bolly, Johnny Castro, João Moutinho, Raul Jimenez and Rui Patricio are just some of the players they signed either whilst in the Championship or over the pre-season, with many of them capable of playing for the top 6 clubs as well as playing for their national teams. Throughout the season, they pulled off some amazing results, especially against the top 6 clubs, beating Man United at home in the league and the FA Cup, beating Liverpool at home in the FA Cup, beating Spurs away from home, beating Chelsea at home and drawing to them away from home, and drawing to Arsenal away from home. However, one of their best results came in their third game of the season, when they managed to hold Man City to a 1-1 draw. However, they may have been fortunate to draw. Firstly, Wolves' goal scored by Bolly appeared to hit his hand on the way in. Furthermore, Sergio Aguero hit the woodwork twice for City, and David Silva was unlucky not to win a penalty for City as well. Their chances of winning the league dropped to 32%, but they were still the clear favourites to win the league, and as the season progressed, a draw away at Wolves wasn't the worst result in the world. Game 4, Match Week 3, Monday the 27th of August 2018. Manchester United 0, Tottenham 3. In the same weekend, Man United didn't fare better, losing 3-0 at home to Tottenham in a result which almost took them out of the title race after just 3 games. Romelu Lukaku should have opened the scoring in the first half for United when he went round Spurs keeper Hugo Lloris, but he missed an open goal from a wide angle. Spurs would go on to score 3 goals in the second half, with 2 coming in 3 minutes for Harry Kane and Lucas Moura, with Lucas grabbing his second and Spurs' third in the 84th minute to round off a great win for Spurs to see them continue their 100% winning start to the season, along with Liverpool, Chelsea and Watford. Spurs had only won one of their last 12 games against the top 6 side as well, so this was a big result for them, just as much as it was a disappointing one for United. At the full-time whistle, Mourinho went over to the United fans and stayed on the pitch for longer than usual and thanked them for their support, grabbing a scarf as well, which looked like a reaction of someone who was about to be sacked, but that wasn't the case. In the post-match press conference, he also reminded the press how he had won 3 Premier League titles, whereas the other 19 managers in the league had only won 2 combined. Manuel Pellegrini and Pep Guardiola winning 1 each for Man City, which maybe showed the pressure was getting to him. This dropped United to 13th in the league and saw their chance of winning the league drop to 4.6%, with only Arsenal's 1.8% chance lower out of teams in the top 6. Game 5, Match Week 5, Saturday the 15th of September 2018. Tottenham 1, Liverpool 2. After the first international break of the season, top of the table Liverpool travelled to Wembley to play Spurs in what was supposed to be Spurs' first game at their new stadium, but due to safety issues, this was delayed. Spurs had beaten Liverpool 4-1 at home the season earlier in clinical fashion, with centre-back Dejan Lovren having to be subbed off after 30 minutes. He was struggling so much. However, Liverpool got their revenge to win their 5th straight game at the start of the season, their first time since 1990. Gini Wijnaldum opened the scoring for Liverpool with a header, with goal line technology confirming to referee Michael Oliver the ball had crossed the line. It was his 19th Premier League goal, but his first away from home in his 59th away game with his 55th shot. Roberto Firmino scored a tap-in to make it 2-0 in the second half, which was enough to seal a victory for Liverpool, with Eric Lamela scoring a 93rd minute consolation goal to make it finish 2-1, despite Man City winning 3-0 against Fulham and Chelsea winning 4-1 against Cardiff to go top of the league on goal difference. Liverpool's win saw their odds of winning the league go up to 30.7%, the highest out of anyone in the league. Man City were close second with 30.3% and Chelsea third with 21.1%, with Man United, Spurs and Arsenal only having a combined percentage of 17.2. Game 6, Match Week 7, Saturday 29th of September 2018. Chelsea 1, Liverpool 1. The weekend after, Chelsea drew away at West Ham, whereas Liverpool beat Southampton at home, meaning Liverpool were the only team left in the league with a 100% record, and it was the two teams who would face each other after Man City, Spurs and Arsenal had all won, and Man United had lost their third game of the season away at West Ham. Former Chelsea players Mo Salah and Daniel Sturridge were in the Liverpool squad that day, while former Everton player and Scouser Ross Barkley was on the Chelsea bench. Salah famously started for Chelsea in their 2-0 win against Liverpool in 2014, when Steven Gerrard slipped for Chelsea's first goal, which ultimately cost Liverpool the title that year. Chelsea had also beaten Liverpool a few days earlier 2-1 away from home in the Carabao Cup, and they took the lead with Eden Hazard opening the scoring in the 25th minute. Daniel Sturridge came on in the second half, replacing Mo Salah, and he would go on to have a big impact for Liverpool. With the 90 minutes almost over, Sturridge took a shot from around 30 yards out and found the top right hand corner to make it 1-1, with a goal not too dissimilar to one that Jordan Henderson had scored for Liverpool at the same ground a couple of years earlier. It remained 1-1, meaning Liverpool kept their unbeaten start to the season, although they were behind Man City on goal difference. City's odds of winning the league were at the highest of the season so far at 40.1%, with Liverpool second with 28.4% and Chelsea third with 15.1%, and it would be Liverpool and City who would play each other in the next match week. Game 7, Match Week 8, Sunday the 7th of October 2018. Liverpool 0, Man City 0. The 2017-18 season saw Liverpool and Man City play 4 times, which included City winning 5-0, Liverpool winning 4-3 to end City's unbeaten start to the season, and Liverpool winning 5-1 on aggregate in their Champions League quarter-final. However, none of the 4 games were draws, which is what we got for their first meeting of the 2018-19 season. Man City had failed to win away at Anfield in 15 years, but they were the team who had the biggest chance to win the game when Virgil van Dijk fouled Leroy Sané in the box to give City a penalty with only a few minutes left. However, Riyad Mahrez missed the penalty, skying the ball over the bar. It was quite a cagey game, and after Man City lost at Anfield 4-3, and 3-0 last season. It was no surprise they did not want a repeat of those two games, with a draw suiting Man City more at that stage of the season than Liverpool, given they still had to play Liverpool at home later in the season. However, it did prove the bookmakers and pundits right that Liverpool were a team to be reckoned with for the rest of the season, and that they could give Man City a good title challenge if they stayed consistent. The draw left Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool all level on 20 points, with City first on goal difference. After the draw, both City's and Liverpool's odds to win the league dropped, with City's down from 40.1% to 37.9% and Liverpool's from 28.4% to 22.8%, whereas the other clubs in the top 6 all slightly increased, with Chelsea's the best of the rest at 19.9%. Game 8, Match Week 10, Monday the 29th of October 2018, Tottenham 0, Manchester City 1. Match Week 10 of the 2018-19 Premier League season will always be remembered, but not for the right reasons. Firstly, on the morning of Saturday the 27th of October, former Chelsea, Tottenham and England manager Glenn Hoddle suffered a cardiac arrest on his 61st birthday. Fortunately, he was taken to hospital and made a full recovery. Later that same day though, after Leicester's 1-1 draw at home to West Ham, an Augusta Westland AW169 helicopter containing Leicester City owner Vichai Srivardhana Prabha and 4 others set off from inside the King Power Stadium as was usual after a Leicester home game. However, moments after setting off, the tail rotor control linkage broke, sending the helicopter into an uncontrollable spin and causing it to crash in a car park only a couple of hundred metres away from the stadium. All 5 people on board the helicopter were killed, which included pilot Eric Swafer, his girlfriend and co-pilot Isabella Rosa Lekovic, Vichai Srivardhana Prabha, and 2 members of his staff, Karvipon Pumper and Nusara Suknamai. No other people were involved in the accident. This was unfortunately not the only accident that would happen this season either. A couple of days later, Man City travelled to Tottenham to try and go back to the top of the league after Liverpool had beaten Cardiff 4-1 and Chelsea had beaten Burnley 4-0. Apart from the Leicester incident, the other talking point was the state of Wembley's pitch. Spurs had been due to play the game at their new stadium, but it was still not ready, meaning the game had to be played at Wembley. However, there had been 3 NFL games in 3 weeks at Wembley, including a game the day before, as well as an Anthony Joshua boxing match just over a month before, meaning the grass was not in its best condition by far, which did not suit either team's style of play, especially Man City. They managed to make the best of the conditions though and won 1-0 thanks to an early goal from Riyad Mahrez, who had been part of the Leicester team who amazingly won the Premier League in 2016. Mahrez dedicated the goal to all of the victims of the crash, saying Vichai was like a dad to him. The win for City saw them go back top of the table and saw their odds of winning the league go over 50% for the first time this season, but the result was one of the last things that everyone was thinking about after what had gone on just a couple of days before. Game 9, Match Week 11, Saturday the 3rd of November 2018, Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1. The next big game of the season took place at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal, who were unbeaten after losing their first 2 games, hosted Liverpool, who would go top of the table for at least one day if they gained a point, and that is what they did, although they had a fair goal disallowed in the first half. James Milner's ball found Firmino, who poked the ball against the post, only for it to fall into Mane's path, who scored, but he was flagged for offside. Mane was offside from the first phase of play, however, he was behind the ball for Firmino's effort at goal. Van Dijk also hit the post, and it was level at the break, meaning Arsenal had still yet to lead a Premier League game at half-time after 11 games. Milner opened the scoring for Liverpool in the second half after Leno had parried a cross from Mane, but they weren't to hold on to the lead, with Alexander Lacazette equalising for Arsenal from a wide position with 8 minutes left, and it finished 1-1. The draw meant Liverpool were unbeaten in their first 11 games of the season for the first time since the 2007-08 season, but a 6-1 win for City and a 3-1 win for Chelsea the day after saw them go down to third in the table. They still had the second best odds of winning the league with 18%, but City's odds had gone up to 53%. Game 10, Match Week 12, Sunday the 11th of November 2018, Manchester City 3, Manchester United 1. City's next game would be their first Manchester derby of the season though, against a Man United side who are in 7th and already 9 points behind them, despite being their closest challengers the season before. United went into the game after an amazing 2-1 comeback win against Juventus in the Champions League, whereas City scored 6 for the second game in a row, beating Shakhtar Donetsk 6-0 after beating Southampton 6-1. United were also missing Paul Pogba through injury, who had scored 2 goals in the corresponding fixture the season before, when United came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2 and stop City winning the league at home against United. United didn't come back this time around though, with goals from David Silva, Sergio Aguero and Ilkay Gundogan enough for City to win. Anthony Martial did score a penalty to make it 2-1 to spark some hope of a similar comeback, but it wasn't to be, with Gundogan's goal in the 86th minute scored after a 44 pass move, the most passes before a goal in the Premier League since September 2015, which was coincidentally scored by Juan Mata for Man United against Southampton. The result meant City went back on top of the table and left United 12 points behind after 12 games, which all but ended their title hopes in November, with their odds of winning the league just 1.1% compared to City's massive 60.5% and Liverpool's 18.4%. Game 11, Match Week 14, Sunday the 2nd of December 2018, Liverpool 1, Everton 0. With Chelsea losing their first game of the season to Spurs the week before, and with Spurs losing to Arsenal, there was already 7 points between first place Man City and third place Chelsea. Second place Liverpool could bring the gap back to 2 points, but they had to beat their close rivals Everton if they were to do so. However, after 94 minutes, they had failed to score, despite having probably the best chance when Divock Origi, who came on to make his first Premier League appearance since August 2017, hit the crossbar from only a few yards out with only a few minutes to go. Mane, Firmino and Shaqiri all missed chances for Liverpool, while at the other end, Yerry Mina headed wide early on, Andre Gomez had a header saved and then cleared off the line, and Walcott nearly went round Alisson, but the ball went out of play. It looked like the game was heading for a draw, which was probably a fair result, but with virtually the last kick of the game, Van Dijk attempted a volley on the edge of the box and sliced it badly, sending the ball looping in the air towards the Everton goal, looking like it was going to go out for a goal kick, but it was close to hitting the crossbar. Everton keeper Jordan Pickford wasn't sure if he wanted to catch it or palm it out for a corner, but he did neither, and he managed to keep the ball in play and put it on a plate for Origi, who was waiting to pounce, and he did, to send Jurgen Klopp and Anfield into mayhem. The late winner not only put them at the top of the pecking order in the city of Liverpool, but took them to 2 points behind Man City once again, when it was seconds away from being 4 points. Game 12, Match Week 16, Saturday the 8th of December 2018, Chelsea 2, Man City 0. Only a week later, that 2-point gap in Man City's favour had turned into a 1-point gap in Liverpool's favour. Firstly, a Mo Salah hat-trick helped Liverpool win 4-0 away at Bournemouth. More importantly though, Chelsea inflicted Man City to their first league defeat of the season, which was City's first major blip of the season. Chelsea had lost to Wolves during the week as well, and needed a response, which they got, with N'Golo Kante opening the scoring just before half-time. Despite that, it was City who had played better in the first half, despite missing Aguero and Kevin De Bruyne through injury. They had pretty much dominated the first half, but didn't take any of their chances and were made to pay when Kante scored against a run of play. Chelsea were better in the second half, and they sealed the victory when Hazard's corner was met by David Luiz, who sent a looping header into the far corner of the net to make it 2-0. Despite losing, City manager Pep Guardiola wasn't too unhappy, saying his players were fantastic, and they were in the first half. However, they couldn't afford many more games like this where they failed to take their chances. Despite this, City was still by far the favourites to win the league, with odds of 55.3%, with Liverpool's increasing from 21.2% up to 32.6%, with Spurs the best of the rest at 7.9%. Game 13, Match Week 17, Sunday the 16th of December 2018, Liverpool 3, Man United 1. City responded the week after by beating Everton 3-1, meaning Liverpool would need to beat one of their closest rivals in Manchester United if they wanted to go back on top of the Premier League. A win for Liverpool would also see them go an incredible 19 points ahead of Man United with less than half of the season played, after finishing 6 points behind them in the previous season. Paul Pogba was once again not started by Mourinho after a falling out and his bad form, with Mourinho calling him a virus. Liverpool came out of the blocks fast in their usual fashion, looking like the team that would score first, and they did, as Fabinho's ball found Sadio Mane, who made it 1-0 to Liverpool. United did actually score in the 4th minute, but it was disallowed as Lukaku, who attempted to go for the ball, was offside. United were then very fortunate to equalise 10 minutes later when Alisson spilt Lukaku's cross, with Jesse Lingard scoring the rebound. United then frustrated Liverpool, who resulted at one point in their centre-backs having shots from 40 yards out to no effect. However, it would once again be a substitute who would make the difference for Liverpool, this time being Xherdan Shaqiri. 144 seconds after coming on, the ball landed near him inside the box, and he hit it first time, and with the help of deflection from Ashley Young, his shot hit the crossbar and bounced down and in to give Liverpool the lead with around 17 minutes to go. 7 minutes later, he scored his second of the game and Liverpool's third, with another first-time effort which took a deflection on the way in, this time on the edge of the box, with a deflection coming off Eric Bailly, and it would finish 3-1 to Liverpool, putting them back on top of the Premier League. The game showed how far apart Man United and Liverpool had gotten over the last year, with Liverpool seriously challenging for the title compared to Man United struggling to challenge for the top 4. The match also turned out to be Jose Mourinho's last game in charge of Man United, as he was sacked just 2 days later after 2.5 years in charge, with former Manchester United player and former Cardiff and Malden manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming in as caretaker manager till the end of the season. The result saw Liverpool's odds increase to 35.2%, with Man City still top with 54.1%. However, Liverpool knew that a win in their next game would guarantee them to be top of the Premier League on Christmas Day, with the team top of the Premier League on Christmas Day, winning the Premier League on all but 2 occasions in the last 10 years, with Liverpool the exception on both occasions in 2008, 2009 and 2013, 2014. Game 14, match week 18, Saturday the 22nd of December 2018. Manchester City 2, Crystal Palace 3. Liverpool managed to win their next game 2-0 away at Wolves, meaning they were guaranteed to be top at Christmas regardless of Man City's result the day after. However, Crystal Palace gave Liverpool fans an early Christmas present by stunning the current Premier League champions and throwing the title race wide open. City had been averaging 3 goals a game at home and had won all 9 of their home games up until that point, and they took the lead when Gundogan got on the end of a Fabian Delph cross to head them ahead. In the space of 3 minutes, however, City went from 1-0 up to 2-1 down. Firstly, Jeffrey Schlupp equalised with a shot across the goal into the bottom right corner. 2 minutes later came a goal that was good enough to win any game and would go down as one of, if not the goal of the season. A Crystal Palace free kick was half cleared by Bernardo Silva, only for it to come out to Andros Townsend, who ran onto it and smashed it with his left foot with a first time volley from 30 yards out, which rocketed into the back of the net in stunning fashion. Sergio Aguero was brought on at half time, but it was Crystal Palace who would score again. Kyle Walker gave away a soft penalty after Townsend had headed it onto the post, and Crystal Palace regular penalty taker Luka Milivojevic converted to make it 3-1. De Bruyne was brought on to try and help reduce the deficit, and he did score with 5 minutes to go with a fortunate cross that went in. That was the only bit of luck that they would receive though, and despite having 78% possession and Crystal Palace only having 3 shots on target, Palace won 3-2 to give City their second loss of the season and their first at home, meaning Liverpool led the Premier League by 4 points on Christmas Day. Not only did it feel like a big defeat for City, it was the first time in the season that City were not the favourites to win the league, with Liverpool now favourites with odds of 52% compared to City's 33.5%. And things were about to get even worse for City and even better for Liverpool. Game 15, match week 19, Wednesday the 26th of December 2018. Leicester City 2, Manchester City 1. Just 4 days after losing against Crystal Palace at home, Boxing Day was another day to forget for Man City as they lost for the second game in a row after losing only twice in the league the whole of last season. For the second game in a row, they took the lead as well through Bernardo Silva, who slotted the ball past Leicester keeper Kasper Schmeichel after receiving it from Sergio Aguero. However, Leicester were back level just 5 minutes later when Jamie Vardy's cross found Mark Albrighton, who headed it past Ederson into the bottom left-hand corner. Man City then dominated the second half, with Leicester having to defend deep, but they were very organised and disciplined, with Man City only managing 4 shots on target in the second half, with players including Harry Maguire and Wes Morgan making blocks to add to City's frustration. With around 10 minutes to go, Leicester won a corner. Albrighton's corner only found the first man, Sane, but his headed clearance fell to Ricardo Pereira, who hit it on the edge of the box and it flew into the left side of Ederson's goal to make it 2-1 to Leicester. City's disappointing day was made worse when Fabian Delph was sent off for a dangerous challenge on Pereira with not long left to go. Leicester had gone into the game with only 2 wins in 9, although their last game had been a 1-0 win against Chelsea, and now they had given Man City their 3rd defeat of the season, one more than City lost last season in half the amount of games. City's defeat, along with Liverpool's 4-0 win over Newcastle and Spurs' 5-0 win over Bournemouth, saw them drop to 3rd in the table, 7 points behind leaders Liverpool, who were 6 clear of Spurs, giving Liverpool the biggest lead at the top of the table of the season so far at the halfway mark, marking an incredible few days for them and a horrible few days for City. Game 16, Match Week 20, Saturday the 29th of December 2018, Liverpool 5, Arsenal 1. If Liverpool fans weren't happy enough being 6 points clear at the top of the table, they made it 9 points clear at the end of their game against Arsenal, thanks to City not playing till the next day and Spurs losing 3-1 at home to Wolves. However, it could have been a completely different story when Ainsley Maitland-Niles opened the scoring for Arsenal after 11 minutes to put Liverpool behind at home for the first time in almost a year. No sooner had Arsenal gone ahead, however, Liverpool scored not 1 but 2 goals to go 2-1 up. Firmino got lucky with the first goal when the ball bounced off an Arsenal defender into his path, but there was no luck about the second goal as he ran past a couple of Arsenal defenders before slotting it into the bottom right hand corner. A long ball up by Andy Robertson then found Salah, who passed it across to Mane, who found the net with ease to make it 3-1. And right at the end of the half, Socrates fouled Salah to give Liverpool a penalty, and Salah scored despite Leno getting a touch to make it 4-1 at half time. That wouldn't be the last penalty either, as Liverpool won a second penalty in the second half when Lovren was pushed over by Kolasinac from a Henderson cross. This time it was Firmino who took it though, and he completed his hat-trick to round off a resounding 5-1 win and put them clearly on top of the table with a performance of league leaders. Their win put them 9 points ahead of Spurs and an incredible 10 points ahead of City, although City's 3-1 win over Southampton the next day saw the gap reduced to 7 points, and it would be Man City and Liverpool who would face each other at the start of 2019, which would be a massive game in the title race. At the end of 2018, Liverpool were top of the league with 54 points after just 20 games, with City on 47, Spurs on 45, and Chelsea on 43, with Arsenal on 38 and Man United on 35, looking like they would need a big 2019 if they wanted to finish in the top 4. At the other half of the table, Huddersfield were bottom with 10 points, Fulham 19th on 14 points, and Burnley and Southampton both on 15 points, although Burnley were in the relegation zone on goal difference. Finally, Liverpool were by far the favourites to win the league in terms of the Euro Club Index, with odds of 69.9% at the start of 2019. Man City were second favourites with 22.7%, and Spurs third with 5.4%. If Liverpool could avoid defeat against Man City, or possibly even beat them, then it looked likely they would go on to win the Premier League for the first time, but only time would tell. Thanks for watching part 1 of the games that defined the 2018-19 Premier League season. In the second part, we will go over the games from January to May 2019, which includes the second and final game between Man City and Liverpool of the season, late goal dramas at St James's Park, Anfield and Craven Cottage, a Merseyside and Manchester derby, and the drama of the last day of the season. Click the link in the description or on screen to watch part 2 when it is uploaded. Leave in the comments below which of the games mentioned stood out the most to you, and if there was any games that I missed in the first half of the season. If you're an F1 fan, check out my videos that I did on the Crashgate incident at the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, and my cursed F1 quiz. Finally, if you're a gaming fan, check out my 2 gaming channels, Seabury Plays and FC Seabury. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for part 2.